Hey, welcome to this episode of Cities of Schools podcast. We're working with Brave Generation Academy to implement AI co-pilots into their pedagogy and their awesome network of schools all around the world. I'm joined by Tiago, a coach at one of the learning centers, and we'll get into what coaches do, what Brave Generation Academy is, and also a little bit about ARK and how it can be used at Brave Generation Academy or any school that's really trying to use AI in the context of project-based learning, even self-directed learning and career discovery. So let's get into it. Hey, Tiago, how are you doing?
I'm good. How about you?
Yeah, wonderful. Where are you joining us from?
So, from the middle of our beautiful country, Portugal, close to the highest mountain, right? And they Funda.
Nice. And this is one of the learning centers that's at Brave Generation Academy. Can you explain what Brave Generation Academy is? And you're one of many learning centers in Portugal, but around the world. Like, how many learning centers are there? What is Brave Generation Academy?
Correct. So, Brave Generation Academy is present in more than 7 countries already. We have more than 40 apps that are distributed, as you mentioned, Portugal from the mountains to the sea. So we have several locations, north, center, and south of the country within BGA. BGA offers a different approach to education, a revolutionary one, focused not only on the knowledge, but also on the development of the learner as a whole, focusing on how the learner is in relationship with everything surrounding. So focus on the way that he or she will connect to the community, and also on the skills that they want to develop. We foster challenging environment to enable them to focus on how to grow and what to grow, considering their interests, but also the challenges that they will face alongside their academic endeavors.
Awesome. And you're a coach at Brave Generation Academy, and this is kind of different to many other schools. Can you walk me through what the difference is of a learning coach? How many learners are you kind of responsible for? And yeah, what is it that you're doing differently to normal teachers at schools?
Yes, exactly. So BGA offers a hybrid model on education. So they have synchronous moments where they connect to other learners in a virtual classroom with a course manager, and the course manager would be the role of the teacher in a classroom. They are available in these live moments that happen throughout the week, but they're also available during the whole week for the learners. So they can schedule a time to talk to them where they will talk about any challenges that they have in their subjects. This means that the learner is responsible for their learning path. We envision a model where they are guiding their own learning, which means that they are self-directed learners. That means that they schedule their own study. They schedule the time that they invest in, as I mentioned before, in their skills and community, developing themselves as a whole. Here is where the learning coach enters. So we have not a school, but hubs. And in these hubs, we have one or two learning coaches that are responsible to talk throughout the week and in specific moments that we call weekly meetings, where we go through the goals that the learners establish for themselves in all the three pillars that I already mentioned: knowledge, skills, and community.
And so one part of that is looking at careers, right? And you're not just responsible for the knowledge, the skills and community, but also kind of shaping these things into some sense of where this is all going for young people. What do they want to be when they grow up? And I think this was one of the early jumping off points for our collaboration between BGA coaches, ARK, which is Cities of Schools AI co-pilot for self-directed and project-based learning. And walk me through what a learner would kind of come to you to ask related to careers. How do they kind of think about their career, exploring their passions, exploring their interests? What were they doing before ARC? And how are you using ARC now to scaffold that exploration phase? And is it different for different age groups, right? So for 14-year-olds, it's slightly different. As they get older, there's different questions, different priorities.
Yes, exactly. So what makes one of the things that make BGA different from other methods of learning is exactly the perspective that we have on the development of the learner as a whole, but also to provide meaning to all of his experiences in the long term development. So this means that if we empower them to seek for seek for the world and explore the world in the way that they will provide meaning to that experience and understand how and where they will develop themselves in professionally, but mostly developing the skills that help them to adapt in a changing world, which means that not only choosing one path that will help them to develop an expertise in a specific field, but also to develop the skills that will help them adjust and adapt to any other field that they will understand that at some point in their lives they will shift to. This means that what we are doing is helping them to explore their interests, which means that having a broader understanding of how many jobs, how many trainings they will have access to will help them to understand where to guide their efforts. This means that when they are very young, and we have learners from 12 to 17, 18, this means that we empower them to explore, to get in touch with all the jobs that they know, the jobs that they don't know, and we help them to seek for that information. And as they grow this understanding, they start filtering their interests. So, and this is also a result of many researchers when it comes to career guidance. They explore and then they start filtering. So as they grow older, the idea is that they have a solid understanding of where they want to guide their training and what will be the next step. And we also empower them to understand what's their place in the world, what's the meaning that they get from all of this exploration, and try to understand, okay, should I go for a university? Should I guide my learning to a certification in a specific area that I can get it online?
Yeah. So before they would kind of come up to the coaches and ask, hey, I want to know more about this career path or that career path. But it's kind of difficult when you have one or two coaches and potentially dozens of students. A coach or a teacher can't be expected to know what it takes to become every career in the world. And but what teachers are really good at is working with the learner to say, you know, is that exciting to you? Do you know this about this career path? Do you think that's the kind of area that you want to be working in with these kinds of people so they can help with the social emotional side really, really well because of their age and their experience possibly in the field. But they can't be expected to know the nuances of every field, right? I'm sure you have kids asking about crazy careers that you've never heard of, and they might be more in the future. So, would you be down to share with us your screen and share how it looks like when a young person asks you, "Hey, Tiago, I want to become this," and then show us the workflow of ARK, so you can get an understanding of what's involved with that career path.
Yes, exactly. So let me just share now. So I believe that we already can see. So basically, it is at some moment they will get to us and they show some interest. If somehow they came across a friend of their parents or their parents, and they started talking about how wonderful the life is, building houses or just big projects, or they saw on television. So to build a big dam, they became interested on becoming an engineer. So we talk to them and ask a few questions, but why that? Or did you understand? Or even when they talk about chemical engineering and machines and cars, and then okay, but do you know what an engine has? Do you know how to build an engine? And usually, and of course it's natural, of course I don't have the answers for that. So do you know what is involved? And the idea here is to break down their understanding of a job to try to come up with a more structure and stronger understanding of what it is to have that job. So let's take engineering, for instance. So what we do is try to understand exactly what would be a pathway to become an engineer. On that, Of course, as I mentioned before, if we're talking about younger learners, we find that the resources that we have available become easier for what we see as developing their skill. So the idea is that this initial exploration will involve much of the understanding of the basics. So we use many of these free resources that are offered immediately to help them to understand basic notions. And then we go through what ARK offers at the basic understanding of what would be the 5-step plan to to learn everything that is connected to this specific field. So we help them to be familiar with these topics. We understand which are the topics that they have some understanding, or at least they know that exist. And then we try to focus on the concepts and the skills to help them build this understanding of the job and the profession. So then we can start working on a plan so they can not only understand what's behind, but also to build up on their interests.
And what's an example of what you would do after a learner has said, "Hey, Tiago, I want to be an engineer. It sounds really cool." You just mentioned, yeah, maybe you have a discussion about some of these concepts and you say, "Hey, do you know about these? Oh, how strong are you at these concepts? Let's find you some resources to go look at these deeper." It's a potential next step after this. ARK has some features for building for SCAP to help that learner build a portfolio, which we might be able to demo next. But is there any other steps that you might take as a coach from this page to help build that plan or go deeper on some of these concepts? What would you do?
There are a few, so we can do a rundown on the concepts or on the skills, and then using the tutor or the simplifier that are offered. So if they see, let's take like this example of technical drawing, they say that, okay, I don't understand. So we can just ask ARK to tell us exactly what it is. So, okay, you can just ask drawing and and then adapt to the level, and we have the answer that we are looking for. Besides that, then we can try to go through the suggestion questions about, here we have the example of engineering, but we can also use them as a way to leverage some of their own questions. Sometimes we have, but they are undefined on where they want to guide their own question. And these questions that are called first are the perfect starting point at some moments when we want to start exploring.
Awesome. And I guess in a later video, we can get into how art can help create a portfolio of projects or turn this into something actionable. But to wrap up, how have you found the adoption by learners once they work with you to build a pathway, open an AI tutor, ask some initial questions? Do you see that they will take it on themselves and go to ARC themselves once they have a new interest? We also experimented putting some posters up in BGA in your learning hub to sort of leave a QR code for them to try it out whenever they want. How have you seen the adoption so far by learners? And does it take a couple times working with a coach for them to get that this is something they can use in their own time?
The key, as many other apps and platforms that we use, is becoming familiar. So the introduction is really important when it comes to the role of the learning coach to introduce the learner to this platform. Uh, some of them, of course, are probably related to how tech savvy they are, or uh, how older they are, and they already envision their next step into their training, looking to their life in the future, and trying to understand what are the next steps if they go to the university. If we're talking about older learners, they want to jump in more avidly because they are already considering just 2 or 3 options, most probably. But when it comes to younger learners, the key here is to help them try to understand how and why this tool will become their perfect partner when it comes to their work on their academics, and then support with, as you were saying before, try to develop a project where they can not only learn about one of them, about the skills or about pathway, but also to develop a plan that will structure the way where they will learn what it is, understand what is meant for, and how to do it. And that's when we'll find ARC as one of the most important partners for its job, because it will offer the structure that we need to not only approach the development, but also to help us hold accountable the learner to all the endeavors that they need to go through to understand what the skill is or what the concept is to become a specialized in something in a field of expertise.
And you were mentioning just briefly, and we'll wrap on this point, is that, it's not just professional careers and skills. We use the example of an engineer, but here's just some examples of some pathways that were generated during our pilot with VGA. We've got car mechanics, quantum entanglement, manufacturing, 100-meter sprinting. We've even got creating a podcast, YouTube influencer. We had statistics, maths, GCSE level. And so this is my favorite one, isotopes of boron. I'm not sure who put this in. Must have been one of your chemistry students or something, but some really fun examples where it doesn't have to be just careers. It also works for putting in a whole job description. So if there's a very specific job, ARC will find which technologies or skills and frameworks are important in that job and use that to inform the pathway. But it also works as well for the standardized curriculum, GCSEs, IGCSEs, A levels, all that kind of stuff as well. If you want to see the project scoper, which is something that we can demo next week, Tiago,
Mhm.
in action, there's a quick demo video at cityasaschool.com on the homepage. But next week, Tiago and I will jump into scoping some projects and looking at how ARC can scaffold the to-do list and also some resources to complete that project, and also be an interface between the coach and the learner to hold them accountable to which steps of the project are being done and which aren't, so that they can actually build that portfolio and get into that job or career. So really excited to demo that to you next week. But Tiago, it's been awesome having you on this week. Any last words for the other coaches?
As I said before, ARC will be a great partner to all of the learning coaches, but especially for the learners. ARC will help us not only to understand, but offer us this framework that will be really important for the learners to understand where to go, where to move, and what is most important to reach their interests and to help them to be happy. We're always focused on on well-being and balancing, and this is the perfect way to help them become more efficient. And when they become more efficient, they understand how to interact with the world in the most positive and the most happiest way. So it will be great for them. It will be great and offer us this structure that we need when we want to approach in this flexible environment, but also challenging one that can overwhelm us at times. But with this, will offer us exactly the perfect way to make everyone become more efficient, more effective, and more productive.
Awesome. Catch you next week, guys. Thank you so much, Tiago.
Thank you.